Hello and welcome back in a lovely dry Devon, and the lack of water is beating me. I can get more water to feed the crops here, but I'm just running out of ability to do it because I can't battle nature. So I'm going to basically button up this plot until it does rain, and that probably won't be September because the long range forecasts are wonderful for the tourists. But for me, it's too much, considering as well that I'm currently doing up the house. The house is top to bottom being done, and that will go through until late September. So I'm running out of time and I'm running out of water, and watering does take a lot of amount of time. So what I'm doing is I'm buttoning up the plot. Now this actually coincides with sowing a lot of green manures because I've put compost down. I do not want to waste the ground. If I can just get the green manure started off with a little bit of watering, then they should look after themselves and the plot and do enormous good until such times as I can get here again. For instance, this crop of mustard here should be chopped down, but the bees are absolutely loving it. Both on the comfrey that is below me here, the different species of bees are absolutely loving the comfrey. That's fine. I'm not too fussed about this. I didn't want to because these comfrey plants are quite new. I didn't want to push their ability to put down a good root system and survive for next year. So I kind of thought about chopping them down, but I'm not going to. The mustard, on the other hand, I'm not hugely familiar with mustard. Normally I would have chopped this down, but the amount of insects that are thriving on this crop is unbelievable. I have interplanted with sunflowers which got overwhelmed by the mustard, but I've kind of cleared holes around those to try and let those come back in and try to give them a little bit of water to give them the boost to get a few sunflowers. They're very late planted sunflowers. And then over here, this was the potato, where the potato area was. That's all gone green manures now, and the process is basically just remove the grass off the end bed there, this bed here, put a couple of drills in, sow buckwheat on this bed and this bed. This bed here was the bed that was the deep leaf mulch area, and then I've put fenugreek and phacelia down on them both. Because it's so dry, I'm quite nervous because I don't know if it's going to work. We did have one day of rain, but I don't know that that's going to be good enough. On other beds I have sown mustard here. This is a brand new bed, using up the very last of the compost. This has been smothered. The weeds are coming through. This may not be great timing for this, but you know what, it's just done. The onions are just about ready to harvest, so that's a great crop. So that bed will come free and go to green manure. And the cabbages, I couldn't keep up with them. They grew very large and they grew beyond my means to eat them. So I've wasted a couple of these cabbages, but that's fine because they'll be chopped down and added to the compost. The tomatoes are clinging on and showing new growth. So this is the tomatoes. They're doing okay. I've got to tie them back up again. But basically, because I removed all the blighted foliage, apart from a couple of little bits here, they seem to have survived. There's one plant down here that definitely has not. That one's got to go. But other than that, they really shrugged off the blight. Even the bush tomatoes, there is blight in here, but because it's so dry, it seems to have almost dried up on the bushes. So potentially not a bigger disaster as I thought. And this area, I have had to dig up this area here because there was too much disturbance. The ground was far too compacted, there's too many docks and persistent weeds. I had to dig these. I wanted to see the comparison between a dug area and a no dug area. And I've sown alfalfa. This is basically, this entire length here is a permanent alfalfa bed. Now I say alfalfa I've grown before, and I was not impressed how hard it was to kill, especially with our very mild winters. So I'm hoping this will be a permanent bed of alfalfa that I'll just come along and crop and use for the actual foliage itself. Very good nutritious plants for adding to compost, and we'll see how it goes. Although the amount of weed pressure here, but then again I guess as long as I keep on cropping it, the weeds won't matter too much because they'll also be used as compost as well. So let's see how this one develops. This could end up in tears yet. And the last two beds that I've got aren't beds, they're just part of the area that I haven't cut for grass yet. I noticed these two areas were particularly green when I was cutting them. I thought, oh, I'll save them for good compost addition. However, when they started flowering, I realised it's bird's foot trefoil, which is a great green manure crop. So hence why this area was particularly green and fertile. I've actually left them to flower because the bees absolutely love this stuff. And since there's such a lot of pressure on wildlife, I thought it was better to leave these two areas. I know they're a bit square, but that was because I was cutting them, and it slowly dawned on me it was better to leave these two areas. And the amount of insects that are thriving in these two patches, it's unbelievable. So why not? Why can't we accommodate some wildlife along the way to our obsession about growing vegetables? Yeah, why not? So part of the buttoning up for this rest of the summer will involve still using the tarps down to basically develop the new beds for next year. The one that I showed you just now that was next to the yellow trefoil is where the polytunnel should be. If I ever grow a pair and put one up, that's another story for another day. These two areas will be beds for next year, as will the top one over there. I need compost. That still carries on, but I'm now running out of grass. The grass is not growing. I'm going to make one last effort to make some compost today on the little areas that remain that are still green, and then basically that stops until such times as it rains and the grass comes back. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope this video is of some interest, if only from the point of view of seeing how things can turn around in just 1 month, from thriving and successful to a little bit of a failure on the verge of failure. Never mind, it's one of them things, isn't it? Thanks for joining me, guys. Any questions in the comments below. Bye for now.